Is everybody ready? All right. Okay, so actually my first question for you was, for some of them in the audience who don't know a lot about your work, could you talk a little bit about what made you want to become a writer, when you first started writing, how you broke into the mystery world, all that good stuff?
Well, I actually don't recall a time in my life before I defined myself as a writer. I'm sure there was this time, but I don't really remember it. But I also remember, of course, first being a reader. Most writers will tell you that your first love is reading, and I certainly did get that from my parents, who are both avid readers. My dad's sort of an avid reader of nonfiction, and my mom is just a lover of great stories, whether it's books or film or whatever. And I know that it came sort of from them. And I don't remember sort of the palpable moment, though. There must have been one where you realize not just that, you love to read, but that if somebody's doing this, if somebody's creating these worlds that can transport you, that maybe you can do it too, or maybe I can do it too. So I feel like there must have been that moment. I'm not sure exactly when that moment was, but it's definitely something that I feel I am. I feel that I was born this and not made. And I think probably most writers feel that way. But I never really thought of it as actually a job that one would do. And mainly that's because, my dad told me that it wasn't a job. And he kind of said, well, I've got you covered. You can go to college and study basket weaving for 4 years. And, studying English and writing was pretty much what he considered to be basket weaving. He said, but, when you graduate, you get a job. You don't move home to write your first novel. You don't travel around Europe to find yourself. Just, go to work. And so he did that, and of course I went into publishing because that was really the closest I could get to my dream without actually committing anything to it. And I think most writers don't really, or at least I didn't have the confidence to try to be what I knew I was. So I spent a lot of years in the publishing industry, and unfortunately, I was in publicity, and unfortunately I happened to actually be pretty good at it. And so my job just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I made more and more money. Well, of course, publishing, of course, not that much money. But I was, I was writing less and less every year, to the point where I actually did have a palpable moment where I said, you're going to look back 5 years, 10 years down the road, and you're going to have to say, you know what, you never even tried to do it. And I couldn't live with that. I could live with, sort of crashing and burning and spectacular failure, but I wasn't going to be able to live with, just sort of a fade to black. So I just got very serious about it, and then after about a year and a half, I finished my first novel, which I did begin at 19, and finally finished when I was 29, so 10 years. Like a long time, because it's not a very long book. And, it's just sort of life had its way of, conspiring against me at the time. And then even after I finished it, I shelved it, because I thought, well, so I'm working in publishing and I'm a writer, and it's actually kind of an embarrassing thing. It's sort of like being a waitress in LA and really an actress. Are there any real waitresses in LA? Probably not. So I shelved it, and then I happened to go to Key West, and while I was at Sloppy Joe's, Heather remembers, while I was at Sloppy Joe's, I met Jeff, my husband, of 10 years this year. And within 6 months of meeting each other, we had both sort of sold our home, quit our big corporate jobs. I took my manuscript and sent it to my 5 top choice agents, and we moved to Florida. I felt like the planets had aligned, and I was, I had money from selling my apartment, so I was like, I'm going to give myself a year to sell this book, and I'm going to write another one. And Elaine, my agent, is here right now, liked my first book, and she sold it to St. Martin. So that's sort of that's the short version.